Hello everyone, today I have another sewing video. Very excited about this one. Today I turned a skirt into a bag, so I'm going to show you how I did it. For the fabric I used this secondhand skirt that I bought, or thrifted skirt. I used this cotton fabric for the lining and also my sewing machine. You could try and hand sew this, but you might have a bit of a difficult time. The first thing I needed to do was make a pattern. I didn't share a pattern for this because it was quite easy to create, so I just folded a piece of paper in half and just sort of drew out the little bag shape, and you can make it whatever shape you want and whatever size, so that's why I sort of just thought I'd show you rather than actually give you a pattern. But yeah, this is what mine ended up looking like, and I adjusted it a little bit to make it a little bit less tall because I didn't want it too tall. But yeah, you can just see what I'm doing here, just trimming off little bits and folding it in half so that it'll be exactly the same on both sides. After I have my pattern, I went to my skirt. Now if you're just using normal fabric you won't need to do this step, but if you're using an old piece of clothing, then the first thing you want to do is probably unpick it a little bit and get the pieces apart. So here what I'm doing is getting the pockets off the skirt so that I can put them onto the bag as decoration and also use the fabric underneath the pockets without having to sew over pockets and stuff like that. So I took both of the pockets off the skirt. And I cut the sections out that I needed. So for the front fabric you need 2 of the pattern pieces and then also just 1 long strip, and for the lining fabric you need the same. So here is the front fabric, so here's my strip that I'm going to use as the sides of the bag. I'm just getting that ready to be sewn to make it longer because I could only get a short amount because of the skirt length, so I sewed 2 pieces together to make it a longer strip. And then these are my front pieces. I cut out other little bits from the skirt to do some decoration pieces. So here's the front. I put some of the buttons on and also one of the pockets on the front because I thought that looked pretty cool. And here I'm just pinning them down so that I can sew those pieces on before we sew the bag together. And on the back piece I just put the other pocket right in the middle because I didn't put any pockets on the inside, so I thought I'll put pockets on the outside. The first thing I'm going to do for the sewing element is sew all of my decorative pieces on and also sew my side paneling piece down the middle. I then cut out the lining pieces using the front pieces as a template. Alright, we are basically ready to get started putting the bag together. So you're going to need to make sure you've got all of these pieces. The side and bottom panel for the outer part of the bag, the side and back panel for the inner part of the bag, 2 pieces of the front and back of the bag for the inside, and 2 pieces for the front and back of the outside of the bag with your decorative elements if you wanted to add any. I'm quickly going to try and explain how I'm going to sew it together. It's going to be pretty easy, and we're basically going to do the same thing for the outside pieces and the inside pieces. So I'll demonstrate with the outside pieces, but we're going to do the same thing for the inside. This is my front bit of my bag, so we're going to take this long strip and we want to find the middle, and what we're going to do is try and line this up with the center of the bag if you can, and just like that. You can pin it if you like, I'm not going to pin it, but just line it up there and just sew a little straight stitch back and forth here to secure that in place. after we've gone back and forth a little bit just to secure that bit, we're basically just going to sew along this edge, and as you get to the curved area, just curve this strip around it. So as I get to this curved bit, I'm just going to move the strip. You get to the end, just do a little back and forth. Okay, now you can sort of see it's taking shape. Now that we've done that side, you're going to do the same thing starting at the middle on this side and go around this side as well. Alright, now that we've got the front piece sewn on, you can see this is what it's looking like, we are going to attach the back piece. So here's the back piece, so we basically want it to be on there like that. Now I'm going to line up the middle like I did for the front, and we're just going to go on each side. This is the bag all sewn together, so I'm just going to turn it in to show you what it looks like. Here's how it's looking so far. I'm very happy with it. So what I'm going to do now is that same thing, sewing the edge bit to the front and back pieces. I'm going to repeat that for the lining layer. So I'm going to do that completely and then come back and show you how we're going to attach this together, and then we're going to need straps. Just finished sewing up the lining piece, and I forgot to mention that you need to make a hole here in one of the sides on the bottom so we can turn it in once we sew it all together. Now what we're going to do is take both of the pieces and sew them together. Now, I need to get a bobbin by the way, but what we're going to do is we want the outside piece inside out and the inside piece inside out, so you should be able to see the seams on both of the pieces. What we're going to do is flip them like this on top of each other, and we're basically going to sew all the way around this. So you can see there's little flaps on the ends, we want to sew them together as well. So we're going to sew starting from here all the way, connecting these two pieces here, the other flap around the back, and all the way around. One continuous line, no need to leave a hole because that's what this is for. Once we have that all done, it is time to turn it in. So we're going to do that now. Okay, so you might want to cut some of the thread. Now it is time to turn it in. So that little hole that we left in the lining is what we're going to use to turn it in. So you just want to put all of the bag through that hole. And it'll look a little bit funny for a second. But push out all the corners of the outside and the tab on the other side. Okay. So now we have something that looks like this. Now to make the lining on the inside, we just have to push it in. But the first thing we're going to do is sew up this opening. After that's all sewn up, I use black thread because that's all I have at the moment, but you can definitely use a colour that matches better to make it look a bit more finished. Now we're just going to push the lining into the bag. I'd have to fiddle with it a little bit to get it to sit perfectly. Sorry that the buttons are making so much noise. Just gonna trim off any little extra pieces. I'm going to do the handles now. But this is how our bag is looking at the moment. So obviously it doesn't have its handles yet, and the way that I did mine was with a button from the skirt and one of the loops from the skirt to make the closure. You can add a zip if you're confident with putting in zips. I just didn't have any, but I think something like that still looks pretty nice. Now we're going to do the handles. I didn't show this because my camera was playing up when I was trying to film this, but here's the straps that I ended up doing. So the flaps, I folded them in to make them triangles, added these two little chain bits, and then added this handle bit at the top, which I connected the chains to. You can do something similar or just do a normal strip all the way around and it'll work just the same. But yeah, here is the final bag. I'm very happy with how it turned out. I've never made anything like this before, especially from another item that was already something and turning it into something else. But I hope you guys enjoyed this sort of video. I have a couple other ideas for things like this, so I'll definitely share some other things soon. Thank you all for watching. Bye everyone!